Hey everybody, I am sorry I'm a little late. I was actually chatting with Michael Anderle for a few minutes there. I look a little drier today. Did not take a long walk in a hailstorm like yesterday. Today I'm going to go for a walk, but I'll take an umbrella. Hope everybody's doing okay in their own individual pods and that you're still feeling pretty good. This is going to be Science and Magic, Book 6. Sorcerer's Waltz, Chapter 1. I got halfway through yesterday, and then fellow author and chum Rami Vance called through Facebook all the way from Edinburgh, which we found out cuts off the broadcast. So you missed the best part. This book comes out on Monday. It's part of the Orstein universe, and T.R. Cameron, great writer, we collaborate on this book. I'm doing okay. I'm doing great. The Offspring Louie went to the grocery store for me this morning. A big shout out to H-E-B, the grocery store chain in Texas. They are doing an amazing job of not only supplying the shelves, but the way they how many people they let into the store at once, the efficient way everybody moves through the store, the way they space everybody at the checkout and get them out quickly. There goes Lois. She's about to start barking. And so big shout out. They also just started, if you're a fellow Texan like me, they're doing deliveries to your door for 60 and older. So if that's you, that's a brand new thing. I think they started today. So very grateful because it takes a lot of pressure off if you don't have to worry about that. Thank you, all the emails that we're doing back and forth. That's awesome. There's lots of you who are writing to me and telling me what you're doing at home and how things are going and questions you have. Some of you are writing to Young Fuck Tiberius Troll, and I understand he is writing you back. So you can keep that up too. And we're still putting out books. We will still be putting out books. We've got a lot of lyra coming your way starting June 29th. There's more of The Lone Valkyrie, which is a continuation of the Finnegan Dragonbender story in the Terra Novis universe. And there's more War Mages. There goes Lois. Sorry about that. Okay, so how about we start reading? And hopefully no one else will walk by my window and get them going. Thank you. That's Lois Lane. She was born deaf, so it takes a hand signal before she can calm down. And so here we go. You can probably see, I don't know if you can see in the background when someone walks by. It's like when she's sleeping, I feel like she's on her charger, just waiting, storing up energy so she can go and keep watch. So here we go with chapter 1. Calliste LeBlanc, matriarch of House LeBlanc, one of the 9 noble families of New Atlantis, stared across the table that separated her part of the booth from the man on the other side. What the hell did you just say? Weimark Jehanel, patriarch of House Jehanel, laughed. His perfectly white teeth glared in contrast to his dark skin, the combination undeniably handsome. She'd been told he was considered the handsomest and most desirable bachelor in the city. While she could see the allure, her interest wasn't romantic, at the moment at least, but I could certainly choose worse. His voice was low and sultry. I said, rumor has it that Styrus Malniet is considering remarrying, potentially to the leader of another of the 9. Callie shook her head in disbelief. Does that happen? He shrugged. Not in my lifetime, certainly. You'd have to go back a ways, probably. When he'd invited her out for a meal, she'd been more or less obligated to attend. She hadn't felt obligated to dress up, but her great-aunt Amalia had insisted. His button-down shirt shimmered in dark purple, the only note of color in an otherwise ebon outfit. Callie had selected a deep scarlet dress with black accents over black leather leggings and her mother's boots, which she'd adored since the moment she'd first seen them. Her red curls were piled atop her head in something approximating fashion, again at her elder's urging. It was all much more appropriate for a date than for a strategy session. So would they combine into a single house? Wouldn't that create a power vacuum? Weimark chuckled, but managed to avoid sounding condescending. Good choice, buddy. I can't see old Styrus allowing that to happen. More likely, he's planning to absorb the other house. She took a sip of her cider and returned the glass to the table. So you're being clever by not revealing the name. You want me to guess, is that it? He laughed and nodded. Of course. Nothing comes for free in New Atlantis, you know that. Right now, the cost is just a game. She considered what she knew about the other houses. Most of them would be too entrenched, too proud to allow such a thing. She assumed Styrus would be looking for a matriarch, as his last spouse had been female. It would have to be someone who doesn't support the Empress, or at least is willing to turn. By your own words, that limits it to Sorcerer, Deveau, or Cormier. He took a drink of his ale and wiped his lips with a knuckle of a long finger. Logical. And Sorcerer is led by a patriarch, so that one is less likely. She nodded. And Deveau, rather obvious since they're publicly anti-Sheni. So Cormier? But the matriarch is only, 28? And Styrus is like 10 decades older? He tapped a fingernail on the table thoughtfully. About 4.5, but yeah, it's a pretty wide age gap. Quite a score for the old boy. She gave him a withering look. Your chauvinism is showing. Try not to be a chucklehead. He set the laugh he'd been holding free. You're so easy sometimes, Callie. That's just a rumor. The automatic response passed her lips without thought. She developed a wide repertoire of snarky comebacks, busking at Jackson Square, where the tourists seemed to enjoy trading barbs with the performers. It was a matter of busker pride to ensure the visitors always departed in defeat. So how likely is it? And what's the bigger strategy? Does he have allies ready to step in if Cormier is removed? Weimark shrugged. You have to assume so, right? It wouldn't be like him or any of the 9 to make such a move with the outcome left to chance. She leaned back in the booth. Oh, I touched my face. Sorry. She leaned back in the booth to allow the server to slide her dinner onto the table. Callie had ordered one of the local dishes, a seafood pasta in a red sauce, with spices she'd never had anywhere other than in the undersea city. Generally, she preferred what Weimark derisively called surface food, but this particular dish had grown on her. A grilled hunk of some unspecified animal or fish flesh filled the plate that appeared in front of her dining companion. Her response was delayed by a sustained attack on her meal. When she came up for air, she expelled a satisfied sigh. So what's the reasoning behind it? Not enough people to depend on in his house? The man across from her patted his lips with a black cloth napkin before dropping it back into his lap and picking up his utensils. He sectioned the remaining parts of his meal while he spoke. I doubt that's it. If I had to guess, he's found a way to turn your challenge into an opportunity to rally others against you, and against the Empress. And either the Cormier matriarch wasn't willing to join without a marriage, or someone lower in that house has struck a deal, offering her as the prize. Callie frowned. So despite the constant pretense to honor among the 9, it's a facade. He pointed his knife at her. You have seen the light. Well done. She chuckled. Or maybe this is all an effort by you to win my support. Wheels inside wheels. Weimark shook his head. I prefer to be measured by my own actions. I don't need anyone's help. And if I did, I'd be upfront about it. Sure you would. When she first met the man, she would have attributed the comment to his true belief in his own appeal. After spending time with him, she'd come to realize that while he wouldn't refrain from using his beauty as a tool, it wasn't the whole of him. At the same time, his commitment to working only at the surface level wasn't accurate either. Of course you would, she deadpanned. He stared at her and she kept her face blank. Finally, he grinned. You're something, Caliste LeBlanc. Superficial conversation accompanied the rest of the meal, the dim surroundings of the restaurant affording a privacy they wouldn't have had closer to the city center. It had been Weimark's idea to come to the spot in the next outermost section, to evade the prying eyes that routinely watched the night spots nearer to the palace. She was definitely behind the times on information gathering in New Atlantis, with only Amalia seeking out knowledge on her behalf, and not in any systematic manner. Another thing I need to embrace unless I can find a way to bring this challenge to a premature end. After dessert and coffees, she'd had enough of both her escort and being in public. If it wouldn't have been perceived as entirely rude, she would have portaled back and headed for bed. Instead, she stifled a yawn as they stepped out onto the road beyond the restaurant. New Atlantis' night had fallen while they dined, and it was mostly dark, The only illumination, a dim light filtering from above, and the occasional wrought iron lantern streetlight. Near the palace, the lamps were almost continuous. Here, they were puddles of gray and a sea of shapes, demarcated in shades of black. The quiet click as the door closed was followed by a louder one that set her nerves afire. A deadbolt sliding home. She whispered, "Why, Mark?" And he nodded. I heard it too. Portal? He didn't have time to reply as a wave of bodies appeared at a run out of the darkness. She cursed and mentally commanded the scarlet and black bracelet she wore to transform into fighting sticks. They turned liquid and flowed over her hands, reforming into the etched magical weapons Zeb had created for her. She pointed at the lead charger but held back her attack. She yelled, "Hold, or face the consequences." Weimark growled, "You can't reason with them. They're mercenaries. If they give up, they'll never get hired again." He threw a ball of fire at the center of the formation and they parted to evade it, but didn't lessen the speed of their approach one iota. Thoughts flickered through her mind. How does he know? Are they after me or him? How did they find us? But none of them mattered. She released the hold on her power and a force bolt traveled through her stick, making the etched runes glow for an instant before the magic exploded from the tip and slammed into the nearest enemy. The strength of the blast hurled him backward into the darkness. She traversed the stick toward the next, but he was already throwing his own attack. Lightning emerged from his fist as he ran at her, strobing the surrounding motions in her vision, causing it all to seem abstract, a level removed from reality. She struck her sticks together in front of her to form an X, and her magic reached out to draw in the electrical assault and ground it out against her weapons. When her attacker dropped the assault, she hurled the stick in her right hand at his face and skittered left to sidekick the foe sneaking in from that side. Good try, Chucklehead. The force blast that struck her came as a total surprise and knocked her backward to carome off the building and fall to the ground. Only her reflexive tuck had protected her skull from smashing against the restaurant wall. Damn it, nice trap. First guy was the bait. Now I fell for it. Shaking her head, she pushed up as Weimark leveled two enemies with simultaneous blasts of shadow aimed at their heads. She ran to his side and discovered that while they dealt with the initial attackers, the rest had arranged themselves into a semicircle, with them in the center. At least a dozen still remained. If their foes were non-magical, those odds might be doable. This situation, though, was far more challenging. She shouted, "Hey, hold up! Who's in charge here?" While she awaited their response, she sent a mental call across the city and received a wave of affirmation in reply. She smothered her smile at the eagerness that colored it. One of the men stepped forward. He looked older with a beard and mustache filled with black and gray hair. A small scar graced his cheek and gave him character. His features were hard and square, and his voice was equally solid. That would be me. She nodded. "And you know who I am?" "Of course. Whatever you're being paid, I can pay more. I don't have as large a household to support as the..." He offered a thin smile, but didn't end the sentence for her. Damn it. Instead, he said, "What sort of people would we be if we gave our word and then abandoned our commitment for a better prize?" She tilted her head to the side. "Smart ones." Beside her, Weimark sighed. Now he'll say that he couldn't possibly, and you'll offer more, and then he'll stand on his alleged honor, knowing that there's no way he'd ever get a job again, be allowed a target to outbid his employer. He shook his head. "Let's just cut to the chase. How about we do this 2-on-2, creasing?" The other man shrugged. "Can't do it, Wai. Promises were made." She turned to her partner. "You know this guy?" He chuckled darkly. "I know all sorts of people. He's a good drinking companion when he's not being paid to hurt me." The mercenary leader coughed. "It's not you, Wai. It's her. You could take a walk." Callie pointed a finger at him. "You, shut up and wait." She turned back to Weimark. "He's not wrong. I can probably beat this lot by myself. I'm not exactly helpless. There are 3 reasons I can't go. First, it would damage my excuse me. It would damage my reputation if word got out, and there's a whole restaurant full of cowards watching. Second, I invited you out to this part of the city, so technically, the situation is my fault." He paused, and it seemed like everyone was waiting in silence for his next words. Finally, she asked, "And the third thing?" Weimark grinned, his fist that met the chest of the mercenary leader and blasted him backward, out of sight. So that is chapter 1 of Sorcerer's Waltz, and we got all the way through. And you might have seen Leela jumping up partway through also, and you definitely heard Lois barking and somewhat Leela howling. That's the norm for around this household. and I'm gonna go take them for a walk. It looks like the rain is holding off. There's Leela. And I hope you guys are having a good day, and keep letting me know. I'll write back to everybody who writes to me. Hope you're enjoying the books. Stay safe. Try and have some fun. Every night at 9 p.m. Central Time here in Austin, Jackie Benson is also doing a live broadcast of her music. That's my future daughter-in-law. She is amazing. So you can check that out too if you like live blues. It's amazing. It's all original. And Gina Chavez is also doing a live. I'm not sure you'll have to check what time it's at night as well. That's my Offspring Louie's other client. So have a great day. Go find a good book. I'm going to go for a walk, and I will see you guys later.